Hey everybody, welcome to Galactic Wisdom. Can you imagine how wonderful it would be if whatever we wanted, all we needed to do was think about it and make it happen, and it would happen? Like we were some kind of a genie, like every wish that we had, we could make come true. Well, obviously we can't, but there is this thing called manifestation, which can move us in that direction. I'm going to explain manifestation over the next hour, and maybe in the last 10 minutes of this show, if there's something that you in particular would like to have happen in your life, then I'm going to guide us through maybe a 10-minute meditation and manifestation of trying to make that thing actually happen. Now, I've done a lot of research, a lot of experimentation, a lot of personal experimentation with manifestation in a very scientific way, and it does work to some extent. Manifestation is a real thing. So there is power to be had in getting a handle on what manifestation is. Now, for many decades, it has been known that if human beings put their mind, their focus onto random number generating devices, human beings can, using the power of their minds, somehow their consciousnesses, their will, they are able to affect the outcome of that random number generating machine. What that basically means is if a machine is programmed to randomly produce ones and zeros, a stream of ones and zeros coming out randomly, then if you were to record those ones and zeros, maybe you were to plot a graph of, if it's a 1, you draw a line on a graph going upwards, and if it's a 0, you draw a line going downwards, then, for the first 10 or 20, you're probably going to get fluctuations like this. But over time, as we get into hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of random numbers being generated, then that line is going to approach the 50-50 or the 0 mark with approximately equal numbers of ones as zeros. Well, what researchers discovered many decades ago was if you put your mind on that machine and will it to produce more ones than zeros, then your graph is going to steadily go up into the more ones than zeros. Or if you do it the other way around to zeros, the graph is going to come down. So that is called manifestation, and it's a skill that has been, it's an ability that has been demonstrated many, many times in the past by many people. And it's a skill that you can learn, that you can practice, that you can get better at. Now, a lot of people will tell you that with paranormal phenomena, it's really hard to reproduce them. Well, with this, with manifestation, it's actually very easy. You could go away after this show and you could do an experiment with manifestation. And most people, because it's a little bit down to probability, but most people would end up making it work. And everybody who was willing to stick with it would end up making it work. It's a skill that human beings have. And it might sound magical or miraculous, fantastical, but really it isn't. We, for example, have the skill to, I don't know, what can I come up with here? At a distance, if I pick up a piece of tissue paper, at a distance, I can make this tissue paper move. Okay. Now, yes, I'm blowing on it and making it move that way, but I am using the laws of the universe, in this case, physical laws that I understand, the motion of molecules, to hit into that piece of paper to make it move. Well, it turns out that manifestation is also, it fits in with the laws of the universe, not laws that science presently understands, but still it fits in with reality to the extent that it is repeatable, demonstratable or demonstrable, and you can make this happen if you go away and experiment with it. I first learned about this when I was probably less than 10 years old, and I went away and I tried it, and it worked for me. And I've been doing it my whole life ever since. I've been doing experiments with manifestation for my whole life. And I'm going to tell you what it is that I have done that has proved to me that this works. But you know what? Before I get into this, I want to let people know next week, I'm planning, if I get enough response from this, I'm planning to do a question and answer week next week with anybody who watches this show. If you have a question for me about anything to do with the nature of reality or morality, aliens, the paranormal, life after death, healing, any of this stuff that we're interested in, if you have any questions for me, then think about what those questions are, and I'm going to get you to send me your questions between now and next week. Just email me the questions. Say, hey, Rupert, I saw you on the Galactic Wisdom Show, and here is my question for you to answer next week. If you want to, email me your questions, and I will answer them to the best of my ability next week, assuming it's something that's related to reality or morality. Like, don't ask me what my favorite flavored ice cream is and stuff like that, because that's not particularly interesting. I suppose I could answer things like that, but it's not something I'm going to focus on. Okay, I will put up this email address later in the show again. What I have experimented with is taking coins and tossing or flicking the coin so it spins around in a randomizing way through the air. And when it lands on the table in front of me or on the floor behind me or in a box, it produces a random head or tail. And this is a bit like a random number generating machine that's producing ones or zeros. Assuming when you toss this coin, you flick it so that it's many, many spins in the air, then when it lands, it should be a randomized head or tail. And I have done that, and I have done it by myself, and I have recorded heads, tails in the form of a graph or like a tally sheet, a tally table. I've done it with groups of people, and I've done that many, many times through my life. And I have every single time I do it, every single time, assuming you let it go for more than, let's say, 50 attempts. Changes in air pressure going on around me, that's a sign that I'm not alone. If you do it for more than about 50 attempts, you let the numbers build up, then you will end up being able to push it towards more heads or more tails, depending on what you're desiring. Now, I will tell you that when you're trying to manifest heads and tails, being able to visualize the coin landing with one side up is important. And most coins, don't know if you're going to be able to see this, you know what's on a coin, but most coins are going to have heads on them, which look comparable. Many of the coins, the tails don't look comparable. Tails can be anything, okay? So I find it easier to manifest heads than tails. Now, that's not because there's some kind of subtle difference in the mass of one side compared to the other. There really isn't that much difference. It's not noticeable. But if you try and visualize heads, it can be a little bit easier. Now, I did this experiment with a group of people the other day, and I have a table here that I ended up producing. This is a spreadsheet that I just copied across from Excel. And I did 24 tests with this group. In other words, we sat there for 2 hours and we tossed our coins 24 times. We had two coins every time we did this. And those are our names down the left-hand side. I've blurred them so people can't see them, see who it was. And we wrote down, if we got 2 heads out of the 2 coins we tossed, we wrote down a 2 and a 0. If we ended up getting the reverse, we wrote down 0 and 2. And if we got 1 head, 1 tail, we wrote down 1 and 1. We did it with 2 coins at the same time, but you could do it with 1. But what matters here is at the end of all of these tests, after 24 tests, and some people had left at this point because it gets a bit boring after a while, but the cumulative score of heads and tails was that between us, we ended up achieving 294 heads and only 231 tails. We ended up getting 27% more heads than tails. So if you work out what 27% of 231 is, and you add that number to 231, you get 294. And I have done that now 11 times in a row with different groups over the last 3 years. You know, I don't do it every night, every 2 or 3 months. I will do it with a group, and 11 times in a row, I have ended up being able to get more heads when we try for more heads, or more tails when we try for more tails. What you can do if something which is supposed to be randomly 50-50, if you're able to do that 11 times in a row, the probability mathematically of that happening is a half times by a half times by a half times by a half times by a half 11 times. And therefore, I've been able to prove that what we have been able to achieve in these group sessions so far has a probability of 0.0005. And that translates to it being a 1 in 2048 of a chance that I've been able to do what I've been able to do. But I know that when I do it again, then I can multiply that probability again by a half, and et cetera, et cetera. And it always works for me. You can do that, you can experiment with that, and you can discover that it's true. Over the next 40 minutes or so, I'm going to explain to you what you can do with manifestation, what the limits of it are, because you can't just do anything with manifestation. If we could, we would. If we could, I'd be a millionaire right now, but there are limitations on this. I'm going to explain to you the way that it works to the extent that I can figure that out, the mechanisms involved, and I'm going to explain to you specifically, I'm going to guide you through specifically the procedures involved in order to manifest things. And you could use that. You can use that to make your life better, to make the world better. So let us look to start with the limitations of manifestation. Excuse me while I take a sip of my hot chocolate. Okay. Now, there are 3 limitations that I'm going to explain to you right now. One limitation of manifestation is that we can only manifest things that are possible. You know, when I'm blowing this sheet of paper, tissue paper, we know that if I blow air onto the tissue paper, it will move the tissue paper. Moving the tissue paper with my breath is possible, okay? But if I was trying to blow in the same way with air, moving air to make a small amount of wind in order to make trees on the other side of the country fall over, well, that's impossible. It can't happen, and we know that. With psychic manifestation or spiritual manifestation, some things are possible and some things are not. Now, some people will tell you that anything is possible. Many people throughout the course of my life, I've heard them or seen them text or post somewhere, anything's possible, nothing's impossible. People say things like that are not true. Of course, some things are not possible. Of course, not everything is possible. And all we need to do to conclude that that is true is just do a little bit of thinking, do a little bit of experimenting. It's not possible that I am physically in Australia at this moment because I'm in California. So when we say anything's possible, well, it's not possible. I'm in California. I can't be in Australia right now. I can't physically be in Australia when I'm in California. That's an impossibility. Some people might think, well, it's just because we're not manifesting. I don't want it hard enough, so it's not happening. But has anybody ever achieved that kind of bilocation? Well, no. I mean, people can believe that people have done that, but it never works in experiments. It's not possible for me to click my fingers and physically be in Australia or on in another galaxy physically right now. The laws of the universe do not permit it. No matter how much I toss a regular coin like this quarter or a 10p piece into the air and try to manifest it turning into gold or diamond or water while it's in the air so that I end up rich, it's not going to happen. It doesn't happen. It would be in violation of laws of reality. We can't do things that are impossible. That's what the word impossible means. We can only do things that are possible. It's not possible that yesterday I was an amphibian and an amphibian god who time traveled back in time to create the entire universe by manifesting it out of a Taco Bell bean burrito. That's not possible. Some things are not possible, okay? And you can think of scenarios in your mind which are not possible. It's not just that we don't have the ability, it's that nothing real that exists can make those things possible. Another example of this, but also an example of another limitation, is even when something is possible, if different people are trying to manifest opposite things, they can't both get what they want. For example, if I'm trying to manifest this being heads landing up, face up, heads when I toss it, and somebody else is trying to manifest that it lands tails upwards, we can't both win. Okay? Not if I am only tossing it once, not if it's a real coin, not if this is a real world situation. We can't both get what we want. And in that way, that's also a proof that not everything is possible. It's not possible that we can all get what we want if what we want is in conflict and contradictory to what everybody else wants. In the most recent election in the US, it's not possible that everybody can get what they want. That's not what an election, that's not how elections work. That's not how reality works. So even when something is possible, if different people are trying to manifest different things, it's not going to work. An example I wrote down earlier, if Mary and Jane both want to marry Bob and live happily ever after with him in a monogamous relationship and marriage, it's not possible for both of them to get what they want. Okay. If you set up the criteria so that they're opposite and in conflict and they both can't happen, then they both can't happen. Some things are not possible to manifest. Okay. So there are limitations on manifestation. Manifestation is increasing the probability of possibilities. It's not a guarantee that what you're trying to manifest, trying to manifest is going to happen. We can increase the probabilities of things that are possible. Now, I have never been able to increase the probability up to 100%. And if we could, then we could get anything we wanted. But even if we could, how is that going to work when two separate people are trying to manifest opposite things? You're only going to get what you want 50% of the time. So it's not possible. There are limitations on our ability to manifest. So how can we manifest at all. Because manifestation works, I've demonstrated time and time again with experiments like this, doing heads and tails. I've demonstrated that I can increase the probability of getting more heads than tails by, in that case, up to about 27% away from random. That's quite a big change away from what reality was going to have happen if I wasn't manifesting. So we can increase probabilities by significant amounts. It's just not perfect. But how does it work? How does it work? We put the power of our minds on the coins or on something that is possible, and somehow we affect the nature of reality. We affect the outcome. Some things are possible, some things are not. Now, increasing the number of heads is a possibility. Increasing the number of tails is a possibility. Things in your lives that are possible for you to increase the probabilities of happening are things like getting a raise or a promotion at work. Depending on what your work is, it's possible that you can get an increase in your salary or an increase in your income. It's possible that your boss will decide that you're the person who's going to get the promotion. It's possible that they will go one way or the other. If it's a possibility that you can end up getting some kind of promotion or wage increase at work, or getting more work, if it's possible, then you can increase the probability of it happening by manifestation. It is possible to increase the probability of you meeting somebody who is compatible with you for a friendship or for a romantic relationship. When we do meet people in the world for that we end up becoming friends with, or we end up moving into maybe a dating, maybe a romantic, maybe a marriage kind of relationship with, there is a random probability associated with that. And certain things that we can do spiritually or psychically can push that randomness away from kind of a 50-50 mark. We can increase the randomness into more probable than not. And we can meditate, we can put our thoughts and our minds on certain possible things happening, and you can increase the probability of the people that you meet when you, whatever you do, walk through Walmart, when you go to a speed dating event, whatever it is you're doing to meet people, you can increase the probability that somebody might go along to that event who is compatible with you, who could give you a happy future relationship. That's something that's possible, and we can increase the probability of it. Healing is something that we have the ability to increase the probability of it happening. There's so many random processes going on inside our bodies with microscopic movement of molecules in certain directions. And if we're not applying anything spiritual or psychic to that, it happens randomly. Like this blood cell will randomly bang into something, and some will randomly go down to the left, go down, some will randomly go up. Well, if you put the power of your mind on manifesting more going one way than another way, then you can end up manifesting quicker healing of a certain tissue within your body that is damaged. You can manifest healing as well as other spiritual ways of healing. So that's something you can increase the probability of happening. You can actually increase, as crazy as it might sound, you can increase the probability of winning the lottery. I've actually never tried to do that. But we have to understand what probability means. Now, the starting random probability of you winning the lottery is, what is it? I don't know, 1 in 10 million or something. It's very small numbers. And by increasing the probability, say from 1 in a million, you might only be able to increase the probability to 1 in 100,000 or something like that through manifestation. It's still not good odds. So you can increase probabilities, but you can't make guarantees. And if there's other people out there trying to manifest the same thing, for the same reason, it's not a guarantee of anything. It's just increasing the probability. It's making me wonder, though, maybe we should do an experiment with that. Maybe if we got like 100,000 people together and all tried to manifest winning a few $1 million in the lottery, then maybe we'll increase the probability of, if we share out the amount, maybe we can increase the probability of us all getting something. I don't know. It is possible for us to increase the probability of people on this planet being less violent. When a person is, say, in another country, or, well, it doesn't have to be another country, they've got a gun, they're angry, they're following orders, and they're pointing a gun in somebody's direction, and they're deciding whether or not they're going to shoot or not. For some people, for most of those people, I would think they have it is possible. They have the opportunity to choose not to fire that gun, or to move the gun away from the center of the chest to the shoulder, or to even miss the target completely. It is a possibility that they themselves would choose not to fire that gun. It's possible that person, it's possible that on that day there might be a strong gust of wind that moves their arm and moves the bullet just enough to avoid taking somebody's life. We can manifest things that are possible. And if it's possible for the people around this planet to choose not to harm others themselves, they can themselves make that choice, then we can manifest that. That's different from mind control. We're not going into somebody's mind and making them, forcing them to do something. We're seeing possibilities that they themselves could choose to make, and we're just giving strength to those possibilities. If a really bad piece of weather, a weather phenomenon like a tornado or a wildfire is approaching your home, in those, after the wildfires swept through LA, there were whole blocks that were burned down, but occasional houses that somehow were not burnt down. When the path of a tornado goes through a town, it is possible for it to go slightly that way or slightly that way. And if it's possible that it can miss your home, then with the power of manifestation, you can increase the probability of that phenomenon, that event, missing your home. If we learn, if good people learn manifestation, then good people can make our own lives and the lives of others better. So how does manifestation work? Well, I'm going to talk a little bit for the next few minutes about how it does work and how it doesn't work. Some people think that manifestation is connected to quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics is a science, a real science that is a real discipline that models and understands and models with mathematics reality. Those people who think that manifestation might be related to quantum mechanics might be right. They might be wrong. I actually don't know the answer. And I'm one of those people, one of those rare people who really doesn't mind admitting when I don't know something. I do know a lot about quantum mechanics. I definitely know a lot because I did go to university and my degree was physics with space science and technology. And I learned quantum mechanics, and my mother sent me over from England some of my university books the other day. And here's my old book an introduction to quantum mechanics, and I learned that, and it's not easy. So I have a handle on quantum mechanics because I learned it. I took courses on it. I got a first-class honors degree in physics with space science and technology, and then I went on further into research. So I do know a little bit about what I'm talking about when I come on this show. Quantum mechanics deals with probabilities. For example, we can mathematically model the probability of an electron being in certain positions in an atom. Let's say you've got in the middle of your atom, if you've got a hydrogen atom, the simplest of atoms, you've got a proton as the nucleus in the middle of a hydrogen atom. That proton is positive and it has one electron usually. If it's unless it's charged, unless it's ionized, you have one electron negatively charged around that atom, and it blurs around so fast. The electron is made of matter. It is a particle. It's got something like 1/2000th of the mass of the proton, but determining exactly where that electron is in that atom is tricky because that electron is moving so fast. With quantum mechanics, it's a mathematical way of plotting the probability of where that electron is in an atom. And you have this sort of a pattern of probability going outwards from the center of where that electron is in that atom. And if you give that electron more energy, it doesn't just come a little bit further out in sort of a linear fashion. It sort of jumps to a higher energy states and then jumps back down. It deals with probability. Quantum mechanics deals with probability. Now, a lot of people misinterpret the mathematics of quantum mechanics to conclude that the electron is somehow everywhere at the same time, everywhere around that atom, including pretty much everywhere in the universe all at the same time. And it's only when you observe it that it isolates itself to a particular location. That's a popular, incorrect interpretation of the mathematics of quantum mechanics. That's not actually what the math means. It's not what the math I say math because I've lived in America for a long time. Math, when I was in England, I would say maths. Mathematics, it's plural, but that's not what the mathematics means. The mathematics, it only is telling us a probability of where that electron is likely to be. Now, I know that a lot of people watching this show are going to be saying, oh, Rupert doesn't know what he's talking about, to which I would say, yeah, but I kind of do. Did you go to university and learn quantum mechanics? We can't know something unless we learn it. And watching YouTube videos or little inspirational images that come up on social media like Facebook and TikTok that say quantum mechanics proves that, that's not learning something. That's being exposed to incorrect information that, because you're exposed to it so much, you copy and paste it into your own beliefs. That's human beings. One of our biggest problems is just accepting things as being true that haven't been proved to us personally. You can't know something unless it's been proved to you personally. Some people misinterpret the mathematics of quantum mechanics to conclude that there are an infinite number of parallel universes. That makes for great science fiction. What's that episode of Next Generation where Worf is jumping between parallel universes? I can't remember the name of it, but it's a good one. Is it just called Parallels? It's a good episode and it makes for fantastic science fiction, but it's not real. It's not true. It's a misinterpretation of the mathematics. So a lot of people think that when you're doing manifestation, you're just jumping across to the next universe, which infinite number of universes existing simultaneously. Well, that's nonsensical. That doesn't make sense. That's not been proved. You can believe it. You can believe it if you want to, but it's not true. It's certainly not what quantum mechanics tells us is true. It's a misinterpretation. Some people, almost on a daily basis, I see posts out there that says, quantum mechanics proves that there's life after death. Scientists have discovered, quantum physicists have discovered. And it's like, no, they haven't. But people are gullible. They will believe anything that if you put the words scientists have proved that in front of it, they will believe it. So that is not what is happening with manifestation. Let me tell you what is happening with manifestation. In every moment on our timeline, there are infinite numbers of possibilities about how the universe might be in the next moment. There's an infinite number of possibilities. Not fantastical, magical, miraculous impossibilities, like in the next moment you might suddenly become, what's the guy's name? No, it's not coming to me. Wolverine. There you go. I had an image of becoming Wolverine with my adamantium skeletal frame inside me with knives that come up out of my hands. It's not possible that in the next second any of us are going to turn into Wolverine or Superman or Spider-Woman or whoever. It's not going to happen. It's not a possibility. So it's not one of the possibilities in any of these infinite numbers of universes. It's not a possibility in one of these infinite number of possible universes that might happen. But something that might happen, things that might happen that are possible to happen, then yeah, those things have a possibility and associated with them a certain probability. We can increase the probability of those possibilities. So what we can do is by latching onto a possibility that we want, putting our mind onto it, putting our psychic consciousness onto it, we can increase the probability of that happening and therefore make it more likely to happen than random chance. And that can result in, well, at the moment, I've been able to push it up to 20 to 30% away from random towards what I want. That's when I've just done it on heads and tails, coin tossing with a group of people. Now, it may be possible that with practice, I know that it's possible with practice to get better at this because I've got better at it over time. When I do it myself and I practice it every day, I can manifest the coins thing to being 60, 70% away from random probability. People who have had contact with aliens seem to be very good at this. They seem to have a natural talent for it. They seem to have a higher psychic ability to manifest. Let's talk a little bit before I teach you manifestation and before I guide us all in a meditation where I will help you manifest what you want. I will consider another possibility, and that is that when we toss a coin and it's spinning in the air and we make it land the way up that we want it to land, that we're using somehow telekinesis on that. Because if you could push something physically with the power of your mind so that it could land up on the way that you want it to land up, well, maybe telekinesis. I haven't experimented much with telekinesis. That's one of the things on my list that I have to do next or soon. But telekinesis doesn't explain how the coin tossing would work, because in order for that to work, you would have to be able to see which side it's just about to land on and give it a nudge the other way consciously if you were going to try and push it using telekinesis. If a coin were balanced on its side like this, and you could see which way you had to nudge it, left or right, to make it go the way that you want, maybe telekinesis would play a role in that. Maybe you could use telekinesis. But when it's spinning in the air, it's spinning so fast, and um, you have no idea about where it's going to land. Manifestation is not telekinesis. It's not physically affecting reality as it is. It's just determining what the next moment of reality is going to be out of all of those possibilities. So how do we manifest things? Well, I'm going to teach you now. There are several different techniques that we can use. Some of these techniques work better for some people. Some of them work worse for some people. So I'm going to tell you a few different ways. Experiment with them. Go away and practice and see what works for you. The different techniques involve, well, a good place to start is meditation. Relaxing your body, focusing away from other things around you onto what you're doing. Relaxing your body and tuning into your spirit. That's a good starting point. Then clearly visualize the outcome that you would like to achieve. Visualize it in your mind. If it's an outcome with coins, then just visualize that the coins you're tossing are going to land whichever way up you want them to land. Visualize the heads. If it's something more like, well, I'd like to meet the person I'm going to marry one day, visualize yourself the next day walking into wherever, Burger King. You visualize yourself walking in there and visualize sitting in the corner the person that you're going to marry one day, and visualize it very clearly. That sort of visualization will increase the probability of anything happening. Now, it may be that the example I gave, that the chances of that happening are so slim that increasing the probability even by 500% still is not enough to make it happen. But maybe if we're going to a speed dating event where it's far more likely that you're going to meet somebody to marry, then manifesting it further will be enough for it to really make it happen. Visualize it. If you can't visualize it, then it's not going to happen probably. Visualize healing within you that you want to happen. If you have a scar and you're trying to heal that scar, visualize the healing of that scar. That could be a possibility, that the molecules within your skin, wherever the scar is, will start to reproduce and multiply and build over the scar tissue. Want it to happen. Whatever you're trying to manifest, want it to happen. Engage your emotions in the outcome. Engage your emotions, resolve to give. And one way that you can engage your emotions is to give yourself a reward. Say in your mind, I'm going to give myself a reward if you're successful, whatever that reward is. Picture yourself having an ice cream party. Picture yourself having all your friends over if you're able to manifest what you want. Something that makes you happy. You're going to sit down this evening, you're going to not work, you're just going to watch your favorite TV show if you can manifest what you want. It could be, here's a theory, I don't know this to be true, but it seems to fit the facts, seems to fit reality. It could be that our emotions have the power to cause, in reality, what I describe as psychic tension in the fabric of reality. Imagine that as we move into the future, it's like a ball rolling down a flat sheet. And at the moment, it's rolling in a straight line. And it's going to keep rolling in a straight line. Even though there's possibilities to the left and to the right of that straight line, it's going to keep rolling down the straight line that random chance has already set out to be there. But if your emotions could somehow put ripples in the surface of that fabric, that medium that time is rolling down, like a sheet that you can, with, for example, negative emotions like upset, put say like a a peak, a trough that a ball rolling down this slope will roll away from, and happiness will be like pulling down on the sheet and form like a concave region, a trough that the ball will roll towards. Then that could set up a mechanism by which what our emotions want is more likely to manifest than what our emotions doesn't want. That's not dissimilar. In fact, it's very similar to the model we have of how gravity in reality warps the fabric of space in such a way that the large gravitational objects like the sun form this big sort of hole, not hole, big dip in the fabric of the universe, and planets and meteorites and things get caught, roll down into that hole and get caught in it. That's why when you pick up something and drop it, it rolls inwards towards the center of the earth. Maybe our emotions act similarly on our progression through the timeline. Picture connecting your spirit with whatever it is you're trying to manifest. For example, the coin. Picture tuning into your spirit and connecting with that coin spiritually. Wrap it in your spiritual hands, and when you toss or drop that coin, picture your spirit assisting in the process of making it land the way you want it to land, or whatever it is you're trying to manifest. It seems to be that if you do it with a group or a collective, there's more strength to it, which makes sense. Try doing it in a group where you're all trying to manifest the same thing. If everybody's trying to increase the probability of something happening, it makes sense that would work better than if people were trying to manifest opposite things or not manifest at all. See if it works. Another thing to try is, if you like, reach out to other beings who may be able to manifest things better than ourselves, our spiritual ancestors, our non-human friends. These are all things that we can try. I don't have a lot of time left, but we've got 5 minutes maybe for us to try manifesting something. Now, if you have something in your life that you would like to have happen, even if it's just an experiment, take 10 coins and in 10 minutes you're going to throw them in the air and drop them, and you want them all to land heads up. Even if it's just something simple like that. But it doesn't have to be. If there's healing that you would like to have happen, or if you would like a certain relationship situation to work better for you, whatever you want out of the things I listed earlier on, think of that now. I'm going to guide you through a very short manifestation meditation. What we're going to do is we're going to close our eyes. We're going to release the tensions from within our bodies. We're going to relax our bodies. Let go of all the tensions. If we had more time, we would spend more time on this, but just imagine every muscle in your body disengaging, letting go of all the tensions within you. And then feel within your biological body that we have a spiritual presence. We have spiritual bodies that are intertwined with every micrometer of our bodies. Feel your spiritual currents flowing through your hands and fingers. Feel your spiritual currents flowing through your feet. Take hold of the flow of your spirit and make it smooth and harmonious. Let bright, white, energetic, spiritual essence flow through your mind, taking away any pains you have, any stresses, focusing on removing darknesses from within your head, from within your mind, from within your thoughts, giving you strength to manifest what we want in the next few minutes. Now picture something in your mind that you would like to have happen. Picture something in your mind that you would like to manifest, something that is possible, not something that is impossible. And picture in front of us a timeline, as though this timeline is stretched out on a a sheet that is moving into the future, maybe sloping downhill as we move down that sheet, as we slide down that sheet in a straight line in a certain direction. There is only one timeline, and it's directly ahead of us, and everything that is presently going to happen is happening on that line right now in the second dimension of time. It's already there, it's already happening. But we would like something better. See to the left and to the right of our timeline in the future, infinite possibilities. And see the possibility that you would like to have happen. See it clearly, and imagine extending your spiritual hand forwards, taking hold of that possibility in the future, and take hold of it with your second hand and pull it. Pull that possibility into your path. Pull it into the center of where you are moving on the timeline, and see it clearly and displace anything that was going to be there. See it clearly and want it to happen. Feel the happiness at experiencing how it will be if that does happen. Visualize it and intend for it to happen, and hold it there in place with the strength of our will. Hold it there, intend for it to be there, visualize it clearly, make it happen. And then we lock it into place. And we relax and we let it be there. We just let it be there now. And when you're ready, we can open our eyes and we can come out of this meditation. Okay. Now that was really quick. If you want to do it properly, you might want to spend a bit more time doing that. But that's how to manifest. And I wish you all the best with your manifestations. I really, truly hope that you'll be able to manifest a better life for yourself, a better life for others, a better course for humanity. If you have any questions about any aspect of reality or morality that you would like to ask in next week's show, then email me at the email address that I'm showing there. And if I get enough questions, it may be next week, it may be the week after if I don't get enough questions. But I will record your questions somewhere. And if I'm able to give interesting or good or accurate answers to your questions, then I will. I would like to thank you so much for watching, for being here. I hope you will tune in at the same time next week. I wish you all a wonderful rest of your day, rest of your week, rest of your month. Take care, everybody. Peace, love, and happiness to all of you. Goodbye for now.